early following decade, devaluation had caused terrible inflation in basic products. The fiscal burdens were insufficient to recover the national industry, and the model that had begun to be built to safeguard the country's resources was yielding to foreign pressures, which strategically knew it was inconvenient to have an industrialized and technologically advanced neighbor. The technology was non-negotiable. Reforms were needed to undermine the constitutional protection of the state's hegemony in overseeing national industries such as petrochemicals, mining, and the management of heavy industry for the construction of machinery like ships, trains, high-capacity ports, and roads that would allow communication between the areas of Mexico that are naturally balkanized by the Sierra Madre Occidental and Oriental and the south of Chiapas. If Mexico had developed integrated chip technology back then, which at that time was exponentially complex, the gap would not be as unbridgeable as it is now. Developing nuclear-capable armament should not simply depend on the policies of the good neighbor, which has been demonstrated by interventions and territorial mutilation, serving as a reminder of their policy and the psychology of the leaders who pull the strings of power emanating from their capital. This is not just a policy exclusive to Mexico. Throughout its brief existence compared to other, longer-lived empires, the number of conflicts created across the continent is numerous, but worldwide they are a daily occurrence. Their agencies are fully aware of the collateral damage that these operations entail, whether in the Middle East or Asia. Their tentacles span the globe, but it is not total. Some allied powers since World War II disputed the spoils of what remained of Germany, among which were scientists who developed, in each country, they arrived in the foundations of various scientific and technological development centers, one of which is NASA or the Russian aerospace industry. The other countries in their plans would only serve as suppliers of labor and resources according to the scheduled plans. The case of China is exceptional. They demonstrated to the Anglo-Saxon world that they are not the only ones who can play their game. And not only that, but also reinvent the game with new rules. The average citizen in the USA is unaware that they have been manipulated and controlled in a constant brainwashing, social experiments from addictive substances prescribed for pain, impoverishing both economically and culturally certain racial groups through social engineering. One example of this is the city of Detroit. Allowing the transfer and sale of drugs on the streets in industrial quantities has generated a multi-million-dollar industry, bombarding audiovisual media to promote the consumption of ultra-processed foods instead of promoting healthy eating, depending on debt to turn the economy, speculating on rent prices that are unaffordable in certain areas, all controlled no longer by a legitimate national power emanating from the people and in favor of that people. No, it is the Titan investment conglomerates who, in their quest for more power, have exceeded state control because they are the state and shape it at will. Viewed in a generic way, and without going into details, current governments are managed by these conglomerates that circumvent, through their economic power, the sphere of power reserved for public function. This has not been the case with respect to China, which maintains national power in contrast to industrial leaders who have simultaneously fostered their growth under their interests. I do not know how much it adheres to democracy, but the results are visible and undeniable. The West has failed with the neoliberal model led by the Anglo-Saxon sphere. Mexico, through these eras, has run behind these policies in fits and starts, with reforms implemented to satisfy the northern nation. Those carried out by Salinas de Gortari inaugurated neoliberalism in our country, continued by Zedillo, who also dismantled part of the national industry. Why would that be? Now we understand. It was a long-term plan for Mexico to be in a security crisis and technologically and militarily backward for a possible invasion, as has happened twice in the last century. The margin for maneuver is small for the current president of China, as an expanding power does not require allies but colonies, and is not willing to share its new profound technological discoveries. Mexico must accelerate its investment in mathematics and hard sciences education, as this is the area where there is a deficit, unlike medical and social sciences, where there is an oversupply of graduates. It should start developing its industry in small niches with quality products, utilizing the social security platforms that are still preserved and giving them continuity, changing the defeatist paradigm implanted for decades. Hundreds or thousands of compatriots are in privileged positions in cultural and academic matters. We possess a historical tradition of cultures and civilizations that converged here. Let us take advantage of our time in this. Main themes.